Let's talk about another team, Steve, that actually kicks off their season this week in Ireland, Florida State. Also flirting with the top 10 in the On3 industry team recruiting rankings. What stands out about their class right now, Steve?
Well, I think you just start with the defensive line, the way that they've recruited three difference makers. Javian Hilson, one of the top pass rushers in the country, helped Cocoa High win a state championship as a junior, one of the most dominant pass rushers in high school football last year. And then Kevin Wynn and Myron Charles as defensive linemen that could play anywhere from the zero technique on out. Versatile, big-bodied, quick-footed defensive lineman. Kevin Wynn in particular, 30 tackles for loss as a junior. Florida State, they beat Alabama for Hilson. They beat Georgia for Kevin Wynn, and they beat Texas for Myron Charles. Now, they got to get them all to the finish line, but that is a terrific defensive line class. You won't find much better in the ACC this cycle. And then you also love the way that they're recruiting wide receivers. I mean, C.J. Wiley's a 6'4" dynamic pass catcher that helped Milton win a state championship as a junior. Dalen McCutcheon is a smooth, explosive, sure-handed receiver that can also return kicks out of the Lone Star State. And then Malik Clark is a dynamic playmaker as well with good size and speed on the perimeter. You throw in four-star tight end Chase Lofton, and Florida State's got an exciting group of pass catchers that can pose a lot of mismatches down the road.
Steve, you mentioned all the recruiting battles Florida State's winning and all those big brands and those big logos that they're beating out for some of these recruits, at least on the verbal side of things. What is it about Florida State right now that is maybe creating some buzz with some of these top recruits that's allowing them to land their commitment right now in this stage of the game?
Well, when you win your first 13 games of the season last year, that certainly helps. They win the ACC title game. They go to the Orange Bowl. Doesn't end the way they wanted to against Georgia, but the foundation is set that, hey, Florida State has arrived. Mike Norvell is no longer selling a vision. This is what we're trying to build. They're right there in the playoff equation. And it's a storied program with a rich tradition, a great fan base, and it doesn't hurt that they've been very successful in the NFL draft. They've been very successful in taking transfer portal kids and having those guys maximize their ability and hear their names called early in the NFL draft. That's another nice wrinkle for the Seminoles right now. But the coaching staff is very engaging on the trail, beginning with Mike Norvell. And with that, it's resonating with some top recruits.
Well, you mentioned it, like the overall brand of Florida State in itself is pretty attractive, but now with what they're doing on the field and the plan that Mike Norvell is putting into action, got to think that's attractive. Who is Florida State potentially after right now as it pertains to guys that they haven't yet landed commitments from?
I was recently introduced to Roback, and I couldn't be more excited. When I say impressed by the quality and comfort, I mean it. I literally can't take this stuff off since trying it on. For starters, the Roback polos are my favorite polos. They not only have fun designs for every occasion and season, but they fit perfectly and easily transition throughout the day. Roback's everyday shorts are the perfect pairing as well. They are so comfortable and have an elastic waistband and great fabric that is made to stretch. Finally, the Roback hoodie is by far my favorite piece of clothing I own. It is so comfortable. I wear this to start my day, end my day, and everything in between. Easy to be active in it or just relax. The hoodie will fit whatever the day has in store. They have also released a ton of new products. Between their brand new Tailwind tees and bathing suits, Roback is ready for the warm weather. Roback has also been proudly leading the NIL charge, having signed partnerships with college stars Jalen Milroe, Cade Klubnik, among many others that are becoming the go-to brand for college athletes. Use the code STEVE on Roback.com for a generous 20% off for all new customers through the end of this week. That's spelled RHOBACK.com. That's 20% off all performance polos, shorts, and more with the code STEVE. Well, they're in on quite a few players right now as they push for. They have pound for pound the number 5 recruiting class in the country when looking at average ranking per commit right now. So what they already have in the fold is pretty star-studded. A couple positions of need for them moving forward: running back and linebacker. Running back, Usman Kroma from the Peach State is someone that they've been at the top or near the top for most of his process. And then Byron Lewis from in-state Fort Lauderdale, he's a guy that I have forecasted to Florida State on the on-3 RPM. They could land both of them. They'd be ecstatic if they landed each of those backs. And then at the linebacker position, Ty Jackson's obviously target numero uno. He's the number one linebacker in America per the on-3 player rankings. Florida State's going to get his last official visit of the process. He's going to be there over Thanksgiving weekend. He's not going to announce till December 4th. But Florida State, Florida, and Alabama are the three schools that I think are best positioned. You also have Penn State in the mix. USC is going to get an official visit in 2 weekends. He's going to be back at Penn State for the whiteout game. He's going to be at Florida for the season opener against Miami. A lot of Florida buzz here. He took his official visit in June, returned at the end of July. Now he's going to the Florida-Miami game to open the season. If the Gators get a win there, that'd be huge in this recruitment as well. And then Alabama going to be back in Tuscaloosa later this fall for the Georgia game, and Alabama's in the thick of it as well for Ty Jackson. But they'll try and flip some other guys like Tavian Wallace, who chose Arkansas. Florida State was one of the front runners for him for a long time. Hasty's a linebacker committed to West Virginia that they're in the middle of it for. But defensive end is another area for Florida State. Offensive line, but running back and linebacker are the two biggest needs, in my opinion, as they work through the rest of this 2025 cycle.